doing really good today. I just wanted to give you a quick rundown on what exactly is the Paleo AIP plan that I do. So, as I mentioned before, AIP is the Autoimmune Protocol by Amy Myers. It's designed to work on reducing inflammation in your body to make you feel better, and so you can lead a better life and reduce illnesses, and just overall it's just great. Amy Myers is your resource for that. So I am not the dietitian. I'm not that. I am just a regular, ordinary person just living this life. Okay? So I wanted to, but today I will just do a quick little rundown so that because people are always like, but what do you do? One, read her book. That's what you do because that is what I would recommend to do it. But I have a lot of really useful information and tools that I've learned, and some of the stuff I do isn't 100% perfect as to what she does or recommends, but as I've said before, I'm doing this as to how I'm finagling about how to make this all work for me and to be able to live my best life. Because it is, isn't that all we're trying to do? We're trying to figure out for each of us individually how to live our own true best life. So, I will start with what we cannot eat. First, things are a lot stricter in the first 30 days. So in the first 30 days in particular, you're not allowed any grains. God, I'm scared I'm going to screw up and say things because I've added some things in and I might not even remember that they were something that we're not supposed to have. You're not allowed to have any grains, glutens, corn, soy, dairy, sugar, nightshades. People ask, what is a nightshade? I will ask that. A nightshade includes things like pepper. You can have black pepper typically. But like things like red pepper, green pepper, jalapenos, my favorite, tomatoes, eggplant, that wasn't a big fan, so that is one item I don't care if someone eats in front of me. So all my friends and family, eat eggplant all you want in front of me and I won't be jealous. I won't even be tempted. So go for it. But anyways, that was just, me telling probably the only people watching this, but anyhow, oh goodness, sidetrack myself up sometimes. Okay, so you're only allowed to have, so no nightshades, okay? And no sugar. I don't think I covered that one. You are allowed in small doses refined sugar, unrefined sugar rather. So like, I'm only allowed pure maple syrup, coconut sugar, and you can and fruit sugar and honey. You can also have date sugar, and I think stevia is okay. I'm not a fan. But I don't do sugar alcohols. Those are really hard on the digestive systems. So a lot of the keto items, like when you see keto things out there, because keto has some very similarities to paleo AIP, but they use a lot of sugar alcohols, and sugar alcohols. I remember years ago when we were treating Kelly's ADHD with food, and we discovered the joy of sugar alcohol. We're like, woo, this is so amazing. It works practically like regular sugar. It doesn't taste weird. But then I discovered we both discovered we had serious digestive issues when we tried to eat sugar alcohols. So if I see anything has erythritol in it, I'm like, absolutely not. So I learned that before I even did this, but it's not allowed. So what else? But so that's the basic. Oh, shellfish you would not be allowed in the initial stages because a lot of people have, obviously, an allergic reaction to seafood. Another common allergen is, another thing that we're not allowed is legumes. And one thing to mention with legumes is, like legumes that you think of like beans. Of course, we're not allowed beans. But that is also, you're not allowed things like peas, because that's a form of legume. And you're also not allowed, say, green beans, which is also a legume, which is sad. I don't actually like green beans that much, so it's not a huge hardship. But I was in Colorado last week, and I had some green beans, and I was fine. So I think I can get away with a little bit. But I have had the more intense legumes, like I don't think they're all created equal. Like I think like the black beans or pinto beans, those are a lot harder on my stomach. And I knew before I started this also that legumes were one of my big trigger items for me, so I can't have them. And soy is another one of the most common allergens, and I am definitely sensitive to soy. So, this list is like, ooh, what are you not allowed? But that's where then you flip it, and you go, well, what am I allowed? So you're allowed to eat, chicken, turkey, grass-fed beef, and the chicken and turkey should be organic, because you need the chicken and turkeys without the hormones and the fillers, because a lot of the fillers actually have gluten in them, so you have to really be careful as to what you're actually purchasing. You can have pork. Again, the meat it needs to be organic. Wild caught seafood, wild caught fish, and vegetables. You can eat most vegetables other than the ones I mentioned. Okay, so let me continue on. I had a little brain freeze and I had to pause so that I could regroup. So one thing that I want to specify is, you're not allowed potatoes, but you are allowed sweet potatoes, which I was not a fan of sweet potatoes before, but now I love them. I now almost always buy the white ones because they taste more like regular potatoes. But sometimes I'll switch it up and have the regular, what most people think and get is the orange ones, and they even have like these purple ones. I didn't really notice a huge difference in taste with them, but they were kind of fun for change of pace. But yes, I find sweet potatoes basically are one of my big stops. So people often, are like, oh, well, you can have rice, right? So you are not allowed rice. That is a grain. You are not allowed gluten. I want to emphasize that because those are things that people kind of like, oh, but you can have rice. No, I can't. But I can have cauliflower rice, and you can have like broccoli, of course. And, really you can eat most vegetables, mushrooms, artichokes, onions, so many good foods. Lettuce, greens, spinach, arugula. I definitely don't feel deprived when I'm looking through things. I do sometimes find that there are things sometimes that I want in the produce department that I can't have, but it's usually like tomatoes. It's usually just tomatoes. let's just be honest here, and peppers. Because right before I started it, I was eating like so many peppers, it's crazy. And so now I don't get to do that as much, and but I don't have heartburn all the time, so it's worth it. So when I'm doing my basic meal plan, I always am like, okay, so like if you're just trying to like throw together a meal and you're trying to get started, you go, I want a protein source, I want a vegetable, and I want a starch. So what would be your protein source? So that's obviously, your meat, and then your protein, your vegetables again, and then a starch, like sweet potato, or I'm trying to think what other starches then I have. Sweet potato, acorn squash, butternut squash, something like that. After you get past the first 30 days and you can start introducing things. Oh, I did mention, oh God, you guys, I'm so sorry. I forgot to tell you this. You are also not allowed to have eggs initially. I eat a lot of eggs, so that's why I forget about it, because after the first 30 days, you're allowed to have eggs. I had already done an elimination diet before, so I knew I was not allergic to eggs. So eggs I have been having, honestly, since I started this, because I had already done an elimination diet in the past, and so I knew eggs were cool. So I eat eggs. Nuts is something you're not allowed initially, but if you're doing the AIP diet, but I do the, I now am having nuts again. I find that, so I do, because I cook with almond flour, I cooked with different nut flours a lot, and a combination of it and coconut flour. And coconut, by the way, even you are allowed, even when you're not allowed nuts. It's not a nut. So that's really important to know, because coconut does not cook. You cannot swap coconut flour for almond flour in a recipe or for regular flour, because it works differently. It expands, and it has different chemical components in order to cook with it, but it can be really, really good. And and I do use coconut flour a lot, and it's definitely one of my staples I keep on hand. So that's the basic of what you do. And there's so much more to it, but I really, I'm excited to share all this with you, and I hope some of this makes sense, but really just know that the rest of my videos mostly are going to be about how tips and tricks to make this so that we can all do this and feel happy and live our best life. Talk to you tomorrow.